everyone, my name is Malvika Varadan and I'm very proud to bring you stories from around the world. Now this is a project by the Hive and Toddle and there are some very important rules to remember. Number one, listen really carefully to these stories. Number two, don't be afraid to pause this video and act along and follow the instructions, alright? And number three, right after we finish reading our stories, after our story time, don't forget to try out all the cool craft activities in your Toddle box and make sure that you get your hands dirty. The next story from Stories from Around the World is all the way from Ireland. Do you know where Ireland is? Maybe if you have a map at home you can look, or on Google Maps if you have that. It's supposed to be a beautiful country and I've never been, but I'm dying to go. Anyway, this story is called Finn MacCool and the Giant's Causeway. Now, Finn MacCool was a giant who lived near the sea with his wife, Unag. Another giant called Red Man lived on the opposite shore, and Red Man liked nothing better than shouting insults across the river. Imagine what that was like. Imagine standing on the bank of a river and somebody on the other side trying to shout out at you, especially when they're saying mean things. One day, Finn had had enough. He decided to teach him a lesson, and he built a path across the sea using 6-sided cobblestones. Maybe you want to look up what a cobblestone looks like. What is a cobblestone? How big is it? How small is it? And when he had finished, he challenged Red Man to a fight. As soon as Red Man stepped onto the pathway, Finn realized his mistake, because now he was much closer, right? You see, the river's quite big, so the other side is quite far away. But now that this guy was coming closer, whoa! Red Man was twice his size and could quite easily squish him as flat as a pancake. He raced home and he told Unag what he had done. "There's no time to run away," she said. "Hide in the bed and leave everything to me." How do you think she said that? Very urgently, right? Very fast, because they don't have much time. What if Red Man comes? So she says it really fast. Maybe you want to try. "There's no time to run away," she said. "Hide in the bed and leave things to me." So Finn jumped into the bed in the corner of his room and wrapped himself up in a blanket. Do you have a blanket at home? Can you wrap yourself up in a blanket? Make sure no part of you is seen. Red Man knocked on the door and Unag answered. Oh my God, Red Man is as big as the house. He is enormous. "Is it Finn you're looking for?" she asked. "I'm afraid he's gone out hunting. Why don't you come back another day?" I think she was really brave, because the way she sounds, I feel like she didn't even have a little bit of fear in her voice, right? "No, I'll wait here," the Red Man said gruffly. What does it mean to have a gruff voice? Do you want to try that line with a gruff voice? "No, I'll wait here," said the Red Man. Unag noticed he had the biggest stick that she had ever seen. "I do not allow sticks in the house," she said. "Would you mind leaving yours outside with Finn's?" Sounds like a very strict lady. I mean, imagine seeing someone that big and then telling them what the rules of the house were. Red Man looked around, but he couldn't see any other sticks. And then Unag pointed to the nearby woods. "Ha, silly me," she explained. "I forgot to tell you. Whenever my husband needs a stick, he just pulls up one of those fir trees." "Finn must be a very big giant to use a fir tree for his stick," said Red Man quite nervously. Now you see, Red Man has never seen Finn, right? So he doesn't know how big he is. Crash! Unag invited Red Man inside and he squeezed through the front door. Imagine he was so big and you had such a small door to get through. You'd have to really squeeze yourself in. Do you want to try that? He squeezed through the front door and spotted the bed in the corner. And he peered inside, but all he could see were Finn's big eyes staring out above the blanket. Because how do you think Finn is sitting? Just like this, like covered all the way up to here, and just his eyes popping out. "Is that Finn's baby?" he asked. Oh yes," said Unag, "and he's just like his daddy." Finn must be big. He must be a big giant to have a baby that size, said Red Man nervously. Unag wasn't finished tricking Red Man. She secretly slipped an iron bar inside a cake and offered it to him. He bit into it with a loud crack. Can you imagine biting into something that's so hard like iron? So you would pick up something, imagine there's an imaginary piece of cake in front of you, and you bite into it. Ow! Crack! This cake is so hard, it's broken my teeth, he yelled. Oh, nonsense, said Unag. I baked it just the way my husband likes it. Finn must be a very tough giant to have such strong teeth, said Red Man nervously. Red Man decided to wait for Finn outside, and his tooth was really hurting and he didn't like the way that baby was looking at him. Who else has a feeling that Red Man is getting a little bit scared now, especially with a toothache? You know how much it hurts. You want to show me how you have a toothache? Oh! Please excuse the mess, said Unag, pointing to a circle of huge grey stones in the distance. My husband was playing golf with some rocks this morning. Finn must be a very big giant to move such enormous boulders, said Red Man very nervously. Now by this point, Red Man has become very nervous and very scared. Red Man realized he'd made a giant mistake coming to fight Finn. He said a hasty goodbye to Unag and he rushed off home. And as he crossed the pathway across the sea, he tore up the stones behind him to make sure that nobody would follow, because he was really scared. Finn and Unag laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed until they cried. And to this day, visitors can still see the remains of the giant's path. We hope you enjoyed that story, and we hope you enjoyed acting along. Now don't forget to get your hands dirty and start doing all of the craft activities associated with that story. And remember, even if we can't get on planes and travel around the world, stories and words can help us go anywhere.